Hello, everyone, and welcome to Harv's World, where we are back in Scandinavia. That's right, another trip to the Baltic Sea. And where did we end up last episode? Well, I had a whole bunch of grass to pick up, straw to pick up, alfalfa to pick up. I took care of all of that. I hauled the straw over to the barn, sold it all off, made just over 6,000 euros. Not a lot of money, but enough to pay off the interest on the day, which is kind of a big deal because that interest is really going to start to add up if we don't stay on top of it. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to manage staying on top of it just yet, but I'm going to try. There might be a few days in there that things just don't work out and we end up deeper in debt than we already are, or at least losing money. That's remarkably uncool, but hey, it is what it is. I mean, Nico put me in a bad spot, and well, I have to make the best of it. That's all I can do. So, with that said, where else do we stand? Well, I did haul all the alfalfa, all the grass over to the biogas plant. It is sitting in a bunker silo, fermenting at the moment, turning into silage. Hopefully, that silage will bring in enough money today to cover the interest payment one more time. We'll find out whether we like it or not. We will find out. Now, obviously, I got this field completely covered, but I didn't get much else done on it because I broke off. I wanted to get the grass and the alfalfa all completely plowed under, and I did that. So those two fields are ready to be planted. They've been plowed and they are fully fertilized at this point. Plowing under the alfalfa and the grass gave me one level of fertilization, and then I slapped another coat on there. So those fields at least are good to go. Now this one needs a coat of lime. The seeder that I have is a direct drill, so that's going to help us out. I don't need to come in and cultivate this before I plant, so that will be very helpful to keep things trucking right along. It does, however, need lime, so that's what I'm doing right now, as you can obviously see. Okay. Duh, Harv. We didn't think you were throwing snow on the ground. No, yes, we're putting lime on. So anyway, I have decided that this big field, this is about just over maybe 4.25 hectares, which works out to about 10 acres, maybe just a little bit more than that. We're going to do soybeans. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be a little bit lazy about this because my second biggest field, which is about 5 acres, 2.25 hectares or so, is also getting soybeans. Now I'll tell you why. So this big field, at least until we get our finances in order, and like I said, I'm not going to worry too much about paying off the loan, but I do need to make sure that I'm covering that interest. This is going to be cash crop, so we're going to run soybeans in this field for cash crop. However, I also need to focus on the pig food. So in order to get those pigs fed, and I got to tell you, those pigs are procreating like crazy. I mean, yesterday I think we had 84. Today when I got up we had 93. So we got a lot of piggies coming in. That's good because we're going to need to sell those off to make the money we're going to need to get this thing financially squared away. But so anyway, that 5 acre field is going to get soybeans, simply because soybeans are one of the 4 food groups that these little piggies will enjoy. They want their soybeans, and they want them big time. So 2 fields of soybeans, and you're never going to believe what I discovered that I'm going to put in that small grass field. It's actually a little bit annoying. Frankly, I'd like to slap somebody. Because after dealing with so much of it, oh, and I'm going to really, really wish, well, at some point I might have to buy that windrower because in that third small field I have to put clover. That's right, you heard me. Clover, of all bloody things. As much clover as I dealt with for Frau Baumann. Yeah, so Anyway, one thing that we know about clover, it grows really freaking fast. And that's going to be important because it is one of the primary food groups for the piggies. Now, I don't have to do clover. There are options, but the other option is corn. Corn doesn't regrow. So, and clover does. So, clover it is. And I've already got the mower. The only thing I don't have is the windrower. I don't have to turn it into hay, however, so that's a nice feature. Not having to make hay out of it. All I have to do is mow it, collect it, and feed it to the pigs. So clover it is. But hey, we're counting on these pigs to get us out of a major financial hole, and if that means I've got to plant clover to keep them happy, then guess what I'm going to do? That's right, I'm planting bloody clover. Again. But what choice do I have? I gotta tell you, these little Vultras are actually pretty nice tractors. Very nice tractors, actually. Now, I will say this for old Nico, as much as I've complained about him. He didn't go halfway on the equipment. I mean, he was foolish about it, and I don't think any farmer with a little bit of experience would have done it, but he did buy some decent equipment, so I'll credit him with that. However, he could have kept his debt way down by maybe going a little bit lesser on the equipment. Maybe buy something used for a change, something a little bit smaller. Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. It's what I've got, and you know, there's no sense crying over spilled milk. The milk is spilt, wipe it up and move on. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to wipe up the milk. No, not Frau Baumann's milk. Frau B's milk is fine. It's a euphemism. Wiping up the milk. Anyway, we are going to talk about Denmark a little bit more today. Very interesting country, Denmark. Well, that is if you don't mind paying 49% taxes. That's right, 49%. That's the average tax rate in Denmark. So, get a job in Denmark, half your money goes to the government. Straight away, no questions asked. Half of every day you work, you're working for the government. I'm sure there's reasons for that. Due cause and whatever social programs they have and all the infrastructure and we're not getting into the politics of it. Whatever their reasoning is, it's working. Because they're a very, very old country and still a very successful country, so as long as it's working, who am I to judge? I just personally don't want to pay 49% taxes, but hey, that's me. I'm used to something different, as I'm sure you are too, unless you're from Denmark. Yeah, it was time to break out my baby. Had to get the Fent in the field. So, getting the soybeans in. Looking good too. It's a bright early morning here in the Baltic Sea. But we are still focused on Denmark, and what is it we can learn about Denmark? Well, there's lots of interesting facts about Denmark, one of which is that Denmark is actually made up of Denmark, Greenland, and the Faroe Islands. Now, Greenland and the Faroe Islands, they govern themselves. It's not like Denmark oversees their governing or anything, but they are considered part of Denmark. Another interesting fact about Denmark is that the Danish monarchy, you know, I think it's going to be smarter if I just grab the nearest row. Yeah, about like that. Skip rows. Because this thing is so narrow, especially with the Fent, it's going to be tight to get turned around. The Danish monarchy has been in effect for over 1,000 years. It's been around for a long bloody time. and still going strong, apparently. Good for them. Absolutely good for them. Now, something else that's interesting about Denmark is that it's only got a border with another country on one side, and that country just happens to be Germany. How outstanding is that, since we just came from Germany? Yeah, Denmark's only border is with Germany. So, I don't know. I find that kind of interesting. Most countries aren't that lucky. Even the United States has 2 borders. So, there you go. Rain. If you like places that are wet, Denmark might be for you. Every other day it rains in Denmark. Every other day. 171 days a year. It's raining in Denmark. So if you like damp, enjoy. Go to Denmark. And I think I've already mentioned, but I'll throw it out there again because it's kind of a cool little factoid that Lego, if you love your Legos, they come from Denmark, actually. I knew they were Scandinavian. I didn't realize Denmark was their place of origin, but yep, Lego and Denmark are synonymous. Kind of cool. And just pick a lane, pick a row. We've got GPS. We can get this squared away later. That's the way we're going to do it. Get it done. We got a lot of field to plant and a very, well, not tiny, but somewhat small planter to do the job with. 6 meters, not that bad. Now here's something about the Danes that I found a little bit quirky, and yes, people who are from Denmark are known as Danes. One of their favorite snacks is apparently salty licorice and cold milk. They eat salty licorice with cold milk. That one I don't understand because I don't even like sweetened licorice. So salty licorice does not sound tasty to me. But hey, if that's your thing, grab a glass of milk and chow down. Who am I to say otherwise? Nobody. Now this next one is a cool little factoid about the Danish people. The Danish people have been considered, or are considered, to be the happiest people on earth. I don't know why exactly, but they are. I could speculate, but I'm not going to because it would probably not be terribly family friendly. But the United Nations actually does a World Happiness Report, and the people in Denmark have been considered the happiest people on earth for 2 years running. Maybe, here's a little speculation, maybe that's because the Danish language does not have a word for please. So maybe, some of the things that some of us consider to be polite, like saying please and thank you. I don't know about you, but I know my mom would smack me across the back of the head and say your please and thank you. And all the little kids who immediately just say please and thank you because they don't understand the difference yet, which is pretty darn cute if you ask me. Well, the Danes don't have a please. They're just like, give me the butter. Give me the salty licorice. I want it. There's no please. Just give it to me. Lower the expectation of politeness. Apparently you're a much happier person. I don't know. Works for me. This one's actually pretty darn cool. Denmark and the Danish flag is the oldest flag in the world still in use by an independent nation. It was first used in the year 1219. 1219. That's 900 over 900 years of using the same flag, and they're still using it. It's a red border with a white cross on it. That's a long time to use the same flag. Well, I'm not too far from wrapping up this field. Not too far. It has taken a while, though, I have to tell you. But that's okay. That's okay. Because, you know, time is money. The more time I put into something, the more money I'm going to make from it, right? Well, maybe. I mean, no, not really. But still, you understand the euphemism. Anyway, if you're going to Denmark, I have to tell you, you might want to start training your taste buds for pickled herring. That's right, pickled herring. Because apparently they really love that stuff in Denmark. So if you're a fishy kind of person, I'm not a fishy person, so I'm not big into fish, but you know, if you are, more power to you. And if you like your fish pickled, Denmark might just be the place for you. Now, with that said, you know, we've got salted licorice and pickled herring. Not common where I'm from, but hey, to each their own. Interestingly, however, Copenhagen, which, as I've said before, is the capital of Denmark, it has more Michelin-starred restaurants than any other city in Scandinavia. Now, I don't know if you know about the Michelin starring system and all that, but if Michelin comes in and rates your restaurant and gives you X number of stars, you're generally considered a pretty top dollar restaurant. A place people are going to want to go because they're going to get amazing food. We're not talking, you know, McDonald's is never going to get a Michelin star. Let me tell you. I'll warn you right now, if McDonald's is your idea of fine cuisine, Michelin's probably not something you care about. And I'll tell you, for most of us, I would argue Michelin's probably not something any of us are going to care about too often, unless, you know, you've got a pretty fat wallet. Let's put it that way. With that said, however, Denmark apparently loves their fine food because they've got a lot of very nice, fancy restaurants for their chowing pleasure. Even using the word chowing in relation to a Michelin-starred restaurant is probably a major faux pas, but hey, it is what it is. I am who I am, and that's the way it shall always be. So our first field is completely planted in soybeans. Now it's time to plant field 2 in soybeans. Look at us go, being all diverse in our cropification. Cropification, is that a word? Somebody tell me, is that a word? Probably not, but if it's not, I'm claiming it. Harv said it's cropification. Cropification is now the word of the day. Soybean is the cropification of, what is this, field 13. Help me, I've been cropified. Alright, moving right along. What else is there about Denmark? Speaking of Copenhagen, now remember I said that the tax rate is 49%. Well, you can almost guarantee that some of that money is going to Copenhagen and their harbor, because the Copenhagen harbor, which hosts a fantastic number of boats, still remains clean enough to swim in. I don't know if I'd want to take a big drink out of it because, well, frankly, all those boats are definitely going to leave something behind. So, you know, I don't know that I'd drink the water, but it's definitely clean enough to swim in. Which is good for aquaculture. I mean, if it's good enough for people to swim in, it's definitely going to be good enough for fish to swim in, right? I would hope so. So apparently, Denmark really has a focus on being environmentally friendly to a point where their harbor is in fantastic shape. So I got the 2 soybean fields planted, and this is going to be my clover field. Lucky, lucky me. Yep, this is going to be our clover. Apparently pigs love clover. Although I don't know that there's anything pigs don't love necessarily. And I should probably not drive straight into this rock. At least I shouldn't slam into this rock. Hopefully that will have gotten the end of that field. There we go. Yeah, that's alright. That's alright. Swing back on this one. It does get just a little bit tight. I mean, these aren't exactly big fields or anything. So just a couple more fun facts about Denmark before we move on to something else here. In Denmark, the Danes have created 3 additional letters to the standard English alphabet. I mean, obviously, they're not speaking English, but they have 3 additional letters, all of which are vowels, and no, I'm not going to try to pronounce them for you. I did enough damage to the German language. I don't feel like I should disparage Denmark by twisting my mouth into shapes it clearly isn't meant to go. Nothing against them. I'm just not nearly that verbally talented, apparently. And I own it. I own it. Alright, last of the planting. This actually, for being a small planter, it's only 6 meters, but it's not doing bad, and I'll tell you, anything much bigger than this on these odd-shaped fields probably isn't going to be the best idea, because, well, things get pretty darn tight here, especially along this roadway, the tree line back there, and yeah, of course I missed one little dinky spot that I have to go back and correct. No harm, no foul. Alright, there we go. Planting complete. Our first crops are in the ground. Soybean, soybean, and clover. Now remember what I was talking about with Denmark producing so much food? You know, just over 5 million people, and they're producing enough food for 15 million people? Well, that makes them the 5th largest exporter of food in the world. For being a small country, that's an impressive little fact. You know, they've only got 5 million people, but they're the 5th largest exporter of food in the world. So, I don't know. I find that pretty interesting. You know, something else that old Nico forgot to include on his little farm here is, you know, one of those handy dandy sprayers, or, yeah, you know, equipment washing machine thingies. The high pressure washer. So we're going to need to get that sorted out also. That's not a cheap proposition either. Gosh, what are we talking about there? Another several thousand, 4,000, 5,000, something like that. But luckily, he's got this handy dandy fertilizer sprayer that will actually knock this field out in a heartbeat. This is the only field that's going to need this, by the way. All the other fields have been completely fertilized. So field 14 will get some fertilizer on here, and then I'll need to do an application of herbicide on all 3 fields. That's always fun and exciting. You know, these this area has some custom textures built in it, and I like the look of them. Or is it custom lighting? I'm not sure. Either way, well, the plow texture is definitely different. And I really believe that this cultivation texture is quite different too. Either way, it looks really, really good on this map, and I'm getting off my track here. Harv, stop sightseeing and do your job. It's alright. It's alright. There, that's better. Okay, that takes care of all 3 fields. They're completely fertilized. Only thing left to do, keep them weeds from growing. You can see while I was fertilizing these these soybeans started coming up already. And you know, I wish there was a little easier way to get over to the farmyard. I mean, it's not like it's a terrible drive, but it would be a lot quicker if I could somehow fill in that canal, but I can't because it's obviously drainage down to the sea. So that's a non-issue. Can't do that, but I need to empty this fertilizer sprayer right now. And then fill it back up with herbicide. That's one nice thing this funky orange tank is going to do for us. Herbicide. There we go. Ooh, that fills quick too. No pallets, just straight in and straight out. Outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. And this day is starting to get a little bit long in the tooth. It's almost 3 o'clock already. Probably getting the herbicide on is the best we're going to hope for by the end of this day, because I've got 3 fields to spray this on. 3 fields. That's okay, because we are making a push now. I should probably take a look and see. Yeah, I should. To see if there's anybody in the area who needs some work done, because, well, we've played this game in the past, and it really does make a big difference. And let's set this up to 0, that's right. And away we go, herbicide on the spray. Let's take a look and see who's got what working out there. There's a lot of people who need help out there. Oh, look at that. Sugar beets? No. I'd be working for the next 2 days. Ryan 23, that's not bad. What does 23 look like? Where is that? 22, 23. No, it's loaded with weeds. That's not going to be a good harvest because he's got tons of weeds and only 1 application of fertilizer, so we wouldn't make a lot of money off that one, although it would pay the interest, wouldn't it? We'll keep that in mind. Keep that one in mind. Come on, little Vultra. And as you can probably tell by now, this sprayer is good and wide, and it's going to make short work of even this big field, which is very, very handy. So I'm going to keep spraying off these fields, doing what I need to do. And one more fun tip about Denmark. If you're ever in the United Kingdom, I know this isn't about Denmark, but the reason I mention it is because, well, Denmark is, and Scandinavia in general, was basically founded by the Vikings. We are going to be talking about Vikings, famous Vikings, Vikings in general, once we learn more about the countries that they started up in. But if you're ever in places, particularly around the United K, that end in BY or Thorpe, so like Whitby or Scunthorpe, the endings of those names indicate that they were at one point Viking settlements. Don't ask me why, I don't know the interpretation there, but By and Thorpe means, hey, we were originally run by Vikings. A little bit more tidbit of our Scandinavian history. So I'm going to get these fields sprayed off for weeds. Hopefully we'll have some good soybeans, some good clover, some well-fed pigs that will start making us money. God, we need those pigs to make us money. But I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Baltic Sea. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below. As always, I very much appreciate you coming along for the ride. And until next time, take care.